what the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Welcome back, everybody, for more SPTV. Well, remember, it's always a good day not to be in a cult. We have two brand new Monday night SPTV panelists. Jackson, you've done this on a Monday night before, right?
Yes, sir,
you did.
I have.
You did.
Yeah.
And I've spoken with B before. I've interviewed B a couple times, but never joined Monday Night Live yet. And Laura is making her SPTV debut. Laura FM.
Yeah.
Laura, do you use your last name publicly? Is there any reason? Do you or don't you?
No, I think the only thing name-wise was just when I was leaving Megan to Laura, even though Laura is my real first legal name. But yeah, full name Laura Megan Anderson.
Oh, so you do use your name. I didn't know if you didn't want to use your name.
I think I didn't when I was in Scientology head still, but now I'm like,
Yeah,
they have all my information anyway. I might as well just do it all.
I knew her as Megan.
Yeah,
You
for sure.
knew
Jackson
her
knew
as
me as Megan.
Megan. Wow. Okay, so let's give everyone a little intro to Laura, let's start with you because no one's seen you on my channel before or any other channels that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So Laura, you spent a lot of time at the Int base, at the Int Ranch, at Golden Era Productions, I believe. Can you give a little bit of an explanation and a little bit about what that means?
Okay, so my mom and dad were in the Canada org in Canada. That's where they met, like, you know, just as a quick couple. Later, they got really into Scientology in Canada. They met at the org, got married, had my brother, my sister. They joined the Sea Org in Canada, and then they were such ethical Sea Org members or whatever. David Miscavige wanted my mother and father to join the headquarters up at Gold. So when they were building all that, Jackson, I'm sure I've got plenty of questions for you on that. And so during that time in 1986, my mom was pregnant with me 6 months or something, and she knew at a certain time she wasn't able to fly or whatever. There was a whole thing going down without me even realizing, obviously as a child, what was going on. But I was born in Hollywood at the Mama Shelter Hotel, which was just like a random anyways, Scientology was renting it at the time. Then my mom and dad were, you know, part of the org down here in the Los Angeles for a little bit before they got their detailed training to go up to the Gold base. I was born in that hotel and then was brought as a little baby child to what they called the ATA. This basically the small little nanny cadet org down in the small thing. And then at 3 years old was brought from me, my sister and brother were shipped. Literally you were approved to go to the Int Ranch, which is in Hemet, like 10 minutes away from the Gold base, 15 minutes away, which everybody should keep in mind when we're talking about Gold base and the cadet org being that close and how much we didn't see our family and stuff. But and then so yeah, from there I was I lived and basically had my whole childhood at the Int Ranch cadet org up at the Gold base. So I was constantly going to and from the Gold base for random things, which we'll get into. But and then left Gold base, went to Florida at 13, joined the elite Sea Org organization because we were these ethical, tough kids that knew nothing about the real world. And so they were like, we need them to learn. And so we basically went to Clearwater, and I was in Clearwater till 17 almost, and then routed out of the Sea Org at 17-ish. And then, yeah, that's that. Now I'm out here in the world, but of course it didn't take me. It took all of us, as we all know, 10, 15 years to get realize what is going on. What's going on? Yeah.
All right, so real quick, you can subscribe to Laura on YouTube at Laura FM or Laura Anderson Official. She is a rock star, a singer. Actually, when I was in LA covering the Masterson trial, I went to one of her shows at Molly Malone's. It was incredible, absolutely incredible.
And I got my own secret footage of it too. It was
what the hell does that mean?
Well, not secret. Maybe that wasn't the right word. I was just my own personal copy of a video. No, Sarge sent me.
Serge sent you, yeah. Serge performed on stage with Laura.
Awesome,
It was really, really
That
incredible.
yeah, that was really badass.
So, Laura, you went to the Int Ranch when you were 3 years old.
Yeah. And almost 4. I remember being like, oh, I think there was 1 or 2 other kids that were younger than me. Susie Flood, I remember being one of them just because I was like, oh, I'm going to take care of her. She's younger than me. But I was kind of like, oh, I'm not 4 yet. Yeah, I don't know. That's all. I don't remember that many things being that young, but I do remember like certain things like that. But yeah, definitely either 4 or 3.5 on the way to the ranch.
What are some, if you can remember, like what are some of the names of the other cadets that were at the Int Ranch, or maybe you just called them ranchers at that time? Maybe they weren't yet cadets. I don't know how that works. What are some other names?
No, they were cadets.
They were cadets?
It was like either category, like you're being put in the children's group or the cadet group, which this children's group later was completely abolished because there's no children in Scientology. And also because we were officially joining the Sea Org and like at 4 years old signing our Sea Org contracts. So they were getting rid of this children's group. And then Out Ethics group became the governance group. So anything less than that was just the cadet org, or you were in the governance group, or you were at the gold base.
What are some other names that some people, in the bubble might recognize who were there with you?
Jenna Miscavige, who was at the, like as kids at the, or just anybody in the bubble of Scientology?
We have a lot of people in the Scientology bubble who watch. And so who are some kids that were there with you, that names that people might recognize? Not names like
Mike Norton.
It could be Sea Org or cadets though. Like it could be gold base but they were all
any
part
of the
of
kids that were actually out at Happy Valley there, Laura.
I was going to just say, because a lot of them are not out of the Sea Org. Some of them are literally still in. I could name every single cadet that was there. It was like 80 total over the 10 years that were there.
Aaron's after informing our listening viewers of some of the names of the kids that you particularly remember being with out there.
I could literally, do you want me to go on? I can tell you who my best friends were.
Aaron tells you to stop.
Okay, yeah. Sarah Leah Bard. Okay, we'll start. So Sarah Leah Bard, Alex Nunn, Rebecca Jacobson originally kind of were my good bestie, Out Ethics sort of friends. Susie Flood, Plumie Besnard, Kimberly Alcock, Amber Porter, Gayla Gualteri, Nathan Tompkins, Sterling Tompkins, Justin Miscavige Tompkins, whatever you want to call him. Matt Price, what's his name? Mike Brown, Kasavius Tabioyan, Dee Dee Carlson, Michael Perbilski. He was the ranch IC. I already said that. Andrea Clark, Ariella Coleman, Power Coleman. Man, I can just keep going. This is great. This is reminding me of he hasn't said stop.
No, that's
Gwendol Besnard. Oh no, I'm also going to start remembering people who killed themselves. Alex Nunn, he's R.I.P. Lewis Nunn, his brother. Obviously, my sister and brother, Colleen Anderson and Jared Anderson. Marco Lobato, Natalia Lobato, Vanessa Delderfield, Kalinda Delderfield, Sydney Leobard, who was Sarah Leobard's sister. Nathan, I already said that. I'm literally going through the dorms. This is so
Mike
creepy.
Norton and his sister.
Yeah, Trisha Norton. There's Andrea TC. There's or Clark, whatever. Yolanda Avila. Her sons were all there at some point. I'm literally, Sam Francis, his sister, Miriam Francis, I think was just there for a second, but Sam Francis was definitely there.
Miriam?
Lauren Hollander. Who?
Miriam was at the Int Ranch?
I think for a little bit. Yeah, I do remember seeing her there for a little bit. And then, or maybe she just was coming to visit while Sam was being, she can probably tell you about that one. When he was being transferred to the Int Ranch Cadet Org, because I think they were in the LA. I don't know. You could ask them that. I just remember seeing her for a second, and then later seeing her like visiting or whatever, and going like, "Oh, that's."
How about the Silcock girl? I forget her first name. Silcock.
You're mixing a name. Alcock?
No, last name is Silcock. If you don't remember, that's okay.
Silcock.
Yeah, Travolta's auditor's kid. Anyways, didn't mean to disrupt your flow.
No. I'm just trying to, this is the crazy thing about all this is that there's nobody, Jay Lewis, there's so many people that I can tell, Lauren Hollander. There's like, if I just keep going, it's just like, I'm like, brr, it's like a hard drive of permanent information that I have nothing to do with because it's so hardwired in my brain.
No, I love it.
Like
so
writing laundry socks and the initials on our uniforms. So I had to remember all of the kids' names. Yeah. There's plenty more. I'm not done, but there's plenty more. Yeah.
I know that when I'm hearing someone's story or anything about someone's background, if I don't have personally, this is how my brain works. If I don't have a frame of reference with which to place that person as far as like who you knew, when you knew them, where you knew them, the information for me goes in one ear and out the other. So almost, and I already know a lot of your story, but I know for all the other Scientology folks that watch, I wanted them to get an idea of who you knew back then and sort of where you fit into whatever story they might already know some story, but they didn't know that you were there or something like that.
Yes,
you know
definitely. Yeah. So that's also, I want to like encourage and push that. That's part of the reason I'm even doing my Laura FM TV on my channel, like explaining the beginning, how I got there. That'll be the first one tomorrow night if any of y'all are watching. But I basically will go into detail of why all these names and how I'm going to always remember these people. There's no way they can ever not. I can't not. It was literally, anyways, we'll go down through that. But basically, if you knew anybody, the intention here is to connect family members, WOGs as Scientologists would call them, with their kids, or like, for example, Alex Nunn has passed away now. There's a lot of information I have about Alex Nunn and me at the Int Ranch that I'm sure a lot of his family would like to know that they're not being told because his brother and mom and parents or whoever are still in the Sea Org. And they're being like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure that Louis Nunn got declared. I'm like 98% sure.
I don't know about that. I know that very emotionally, I was told I wasn't allowed to go to his funeral in Hawaii to sing the I Love You song that I wrote for literally the people who have to disconnect from their parents and stuff. And I was going to sing that to him because I sang it to him when I saw him 3 months before that in Hawaii. And then I was told like, oh, we're going to book your ticket and everything. And I just thought that was so cool because I was going to see Sarah and Kim out, all these people from the ranch and the kids. And maybe just even give them love and not even like bring up Scientology or anything. And then I just got the call, like Louis himself called me and was just like, hey, yeah, I guess, you're declared or something. And I was just like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this. Anyway, so yeah, I want any of the family members, including my own family, like if you privately want to contact me about any kids, I'm going to say this about any kids at the Int Ranch, any connections of any of the gold base of any of that. I have a lot of information in between me and Gary. I can always find out different time frames of when things happen. But I was at the Int Ranch and the gold base between 1990 and 2000. So almost those 10, actually, yeah, it was like 10, those 10 thick years. I was definitely there at the Int Ranch, which means I also was going to and from the gold base all the times in those years for all sorts of reasons. And so if you have any family or friends, or you're a cousin of somebody and they're like, I knew he was in the Cadet, but we always just thought they were having such a good time. Wrong. Please give me your information. I'll give you whatever information I have and how they grew up, who they love, what they loved, if they're still around, etc.
Yeah. Awesome.
I love your emotional tie to him still, Laura. I just gotta say, girl.
Yeah. And I'm not going to do a downpour on Aaron's show. Hopefully not.
You're good friends that you grew up with.
Yeah,
I
will love them forever. They know it. They know Megan.
Yeah.
They know Megan loves them.
Yep.
Like, so yeah.
Let's do more intros, and then we're going to come back and revisit the topics because I could talk about that all night.
Yeah.
And if we do, that's okay too. B, for those who haven't seen the previous interviews that we've done, just tell everyone real quick what your Scientology history is.
Yep, absolutely. So my parents got divorced when I was a kid. My mom remarried a Scientologist when I was still pretty young. I was like raised kind of half in, half out of Scientology, but my mom joined staff in 2001, so she was pretty hardcore, and she had like primary custody, so she was very insistent that my little brother and I also be pretty hardcore. I went to a Scientology school, Renaissance Academy in La Cañada, and then I joined staff at our local org, Valley Org, when I was 15. I was on staff there from late 2006 to early 2012, and then 2012 to 2018 I was in the Sea Org. I had like a million different posts and did a bunch of different things. It was all awful and bad and terrible. I also had 2 forced abortions and a lot of marital rape, which sucked. And then I blew in the middle of the night from that. I was on mission in Mountain View, and I skedaddled at midnight and got on a plane and restarted my life back in 2018 with help from the Aftermath Foundation. That's about as concise as I can make it, I think.
That's great. That's awesome. And Jackson, I know you're a frequent flyer of SPTV, but just for the hell of it, tell everyone your history of the Int base, or even prior to the Int base, just your Scientology history.
I was officially in the Sea organization from 1979 until I left in 1997. I was in LA for a little dabble bit. I was sent to the Int base in 1982. Played around in the cinematography division of the organization for a while, making films. I quickly started performing security hats responsibilities, and they formed the original security force, which I was part of, and then remained in security from 1982, late 82 until 97 or 96 when I was taken off, and then I left in 97, so I spent a year routing out. But and I was a security chief at the base.
Yeah, at Gold Base.
And not just at the Gold Base at the international headquarters. I was the security chief for every staff member on that property.
So Jackson, were you there? Valley. Were you there the whole time that Laura was there in the cadet org? And also, Laura, you did work at Gold as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
I
also got audited by my mom for a year at Gold.
Yeah.
Like
I wasn't with
in
Laura.
the trailer.
Oh, sorry, girl.
Go ahead, Gary.
I wasn't with Laura her entire trip to that psycho place. I would have interacted with her from her arrival until my departure in 96. So a good 5 years, I'd say we got to play together, Laura.
Mm-hmm. And Gary would come to the Int Ranch.
Yeah, I'd go out there and do
security drills.
Like emergency drills with the kids to get them prepared to how to respond in the event of a wildland fire, earthquake,
or an intruder, somebody trying to steal a
I had a lot of
child,
fun
like
with
an Indian.
the guys doing that, but it was all very
the kids
Sea Org.
actually had fun. The kids had fun doing that, but it was very
Sea Org-ish, because I had to assign them responsibilities and tasks to do during these events. So it wasn't just like, hey, boys and girls, if there's a fire, run over here and stay there and suck your thumb. It was you're to do this, you're to do that, and had to help them at their level. Of course, I wasn't Mr. Whipcracker. It was just I had to teach them little Sea Org members. So yeah, that's my little journey, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so I forgot to show B's banner here. Subscribe to B on YouTube at Mood Candy or at Mood Candy, and subscribe to Jackson on YouTube at Gary Jackson Moorhead or at Gary Jackson Moorhead. We're gonna call you Jackson, right? Laura, Jackson knew you as Megan. Did you know him as Gary, or did you know him as Jackson?
Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, everybody at the base knew me as Jackson. No one even knew my real name.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Lewis and Alex Nunn's mother is Bernadette Nunn, right?
Yep.
Bernadette Nunn, yes.
Bernadette Nunn was one of the people that us young trainees at Flag very, very much looked up to and loved immensely. Mm-hmm. And then when I finally got to the Sea Org in LA in 2002, she was the one serving us the slop in the galley in Main Mass. She had been busted from CMO Int Missionaire to the shit kicker at the Pack Galley.
And then by the time I came around, she was the examiner at CTO. So everybody loved her again because she was the person you would go to when you were like finishing a course or finishing an auditing action. And she'd be like all smiley and like, everything's great.
I bet she
Yeah.
But
loved
it's a
that,
really
actually.
like low level post, very low pressure. Like definitely something, if you're stuck in the Sea Org, you want a low level, low pressure post.
Right. I never knew who their father was. I never knew who Bernadette's husband was or anything like that.
She
He
was
was never.
remarried.
I don't know. I don't think he was ever in the Sea
He-
Org. In
he-
fact,
he-
like a lot of the times, Lewis and Alex would have a whole trouble doing. Oh, I don't know. We're sending you off. You got to get a PTS handling, like about going to see their dad. Like it was like such a big deal. Anytime it was like, oh, you got to go through the LOA sec check just to see their dad. There was something
comically-
about them keeping a distance from their dad.
Yeah, comically, I only
wild.
got to know Bernadette's husband through the mail lines. That was it.
Literally, yeah, because
that's
all
how
the
I
mail
got-
was
That's how I
open.
got to know him.
Yep.
Because
She was Bernadette Willett when I got there. She was married to Steve Willett.
Steve Willett, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my God, Steve Willett is Sarah Willett's dad.
Dad, yep.
And
He was
Sarah
in,
Willett, at the last 4 years of me being at the Int Ranch, Sarah Willett was very harshly, because she's such a sweet girl, I didn't understand it, was put in charge of the governance group of the marching us and fucking sweating us around the base. And long story short, when I went to go sneakily, creatively, went different way, go do footage up at the Int Ranch, I found a fucking org board name that says Sarah Willett on it. And that right
No.
there, the whole time Sarah Willett was at the Int Ranch, she was underage. She was an underage. So that shows that I was like, this is evidence that they put these young kids on the org board.
And that was
she was
after the property was sold,
Yeah,
Aaron.
after it was sold
That
and
was
everything. I
after
went to the dumpster area. I was like,
Scientology
I was like, I'm going to
relented-
find something.
Yeah. Just kind of ironic. She was just
I
walking
started
around
crying when I saw that.
in
I
the
was
in the
like,
dirt. It was a
in
relic
the mud,
that was left
in
over.
the dirt right by the dumpster area. I was like, I know they shredded everything, so I know there's going to be some evidence of even the shredding. And
Yeah.
I found this one tag. Anyways, that was a crazy long diverse story. But yeah, Sarah
That's
Willett,
wild.
all these people. It's really creepy too because he used to be the gold CO Gold, right?
Who? Steve?
Yes.
Yeah, it was short lived, but yes.
Yeah. But anyways, we knew just because we were friends of everybody at the Ant Ranch and everything, we knew all the parents' jobs and what they did and who was higher on the org board in their parents'
Wow, that's
level.
interesting.
We
I never
knew
that.
Jenna would get, even though she had it rough in times, she would get special treatment. But because it was all because of her uncle and her dad and her, aunt
Right.
and all being up. Becky Hughes, Lindsay Hughes. Anyways, we just knew.
Yep.
That's wild. Yeah, Steve was in, I don't remember his exact post, but he was in base crew. He was pack base crew. All the people, like all the names that I recognize from what you're saying, either I recognize because when I was in CLO West US, these were like sir, like super, they're still up there, they're still like high up there, or they were in base crew because they got busted and went to the RPF and now they're just like mechanics.
Yeah. Wait, what year were you?
I
there?
was 2012 to 2018.
So maybe you were there. Yeah. Do you know Phil Anderson? Do you know my dad?
Yes.
He was on
Phil
the
Anderson is your
is
dad?
my dad. Yeah.
Shut up. He was a
Yeah.
sweet dude. He was a very sweet dude. He was in he was not on the RPF anymore when I got there.
Oh, he finished.
He finished the RPF and
Okay.
he got put in the call center. He was like, so basics came out and they had these call centers where they take you off post and you're a basic salesman and you just like call up all of the old CF folders, all the people that like did Scientology once in 1968 and you like try to sell them the basics. So he was posted there and he was not a good salesman. He was very bad at selling. So they made him like a CF person who would do like liaison stuff to get new names.
My dad one time tried to get me on the basics.
I'm sure he did. That was his whole job.
And I said, Dad, how are you? I said, your job is to do this now. And he was kind of saying, well, I'm doing it for my liability to go back to gold. That's the way he's like, I'm just, going to get another production record because he doesn't have a fucking another,
right.
a whole production record at gold. But anyways, he has to get a new unit of time production record from finishing the RPF. So excuse me.
I
I'm
wonder
talking.
if he actually believed that. Like, I'm sure
Of course
somebody
he did.
told him.
No, he
that.
absolutely did. No. And so he told me, I told him, I said, Dad, how are you going to get people back on the bridge if you can't even get me back in? And he started laughing. And he was like, you are my daughter.
He was a sweet dude. He got sent out on a bunch of missions too, like low level
Yeah.
missions. He was
Because he was able to connect to people. He has a good heart.
Yeah, he's a good
Well,
guy.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes. Jeff
you-
Hawkins
actually,
just asked.
Yeah, Aaron,
Laura-
you look like you want to say something. There's
Sorry.
Jefferson. Yeah, he wanted
Go
to
ahead,
say.
Aaron. I'm going to shut up.
Jeff.
Well, no.
Jeff-
I mean, since we were talking about the question that Jeff had asked about 15 minutes ago, were your parents Phil and Diane? Now, Laura, I've heard a bunch about your dad. I've never heard anything about your mom.
Lay down.
She was in the video production unit, audiovisual.
She still is.
And
Yeah.
some in qual, but yeah, she was.
She's the video librarian at Gold. She's been doing the same job the whole time, pretty much. What she does in a nutshell, maybe Jeff could even explain that better, is she is in charge of recording anything negative, positive, anything David Miscavige specifically wants recorded, like the Grammys or whatever the fuck. She's literally recording probably Aaron's show right now. There's some she's allowed to look into, or she'll just be like, oh, this is negative. She'll just label it, mark it, and send it up to the execs. She records everything. So, and
Initially-
then what else she does is she puts the visuals. She has everything set up and running for David Miscavige at his speeches, at events, lined up to his speech. So she has a very important job that David Miscavige very much does not need my dad, Phil Anderson, distracting her from.
Yeah, that makes sense. There were so many people at PAC who were like, I just finished the RPF, now I'm doing this thing, but my spouse is at Gold. I don't ever see them.
They're never
we write
going
each other
back.
letters 3 times a year. Like
Yep.
Gordon
We're never
Bell's
going
dad was
back,
another
and I
one.
didn't know how to tell my dad that. Mike Rinder told that to me out of my mouth. That's a whole nother story. I went to secretly go visit Mike in Florida while I finally got approved for my liability condition. And at the same time,
Oh
I
my
was
God.
going on the same next day to visit Mike. And then the next day to have Lib's day off with my my sister and her husband and Mike Rinder's son, who's in the Sea Org, who refuses currently to not talk to Mike Rinder. So that was a crazy thing, but I was still mentally in it, but I was out of it. I was out of it, out of the ethics thing, because now I was back in good standing. But I definitely was like, Mike, I can't give you any footage or pictures of me with your son, or they're going to know I gave you this footage. So I felt a little like bad not being able to do that at the time. But so there's all these little ways of really, how did I actually get out? This is how, like through all these little people helping me and me realizing certain things.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Someone told me today that Phil is now working in the galley at PAC. Was that you, B, or did someone else tell me that?
It would have been someone else who told you that. I think you're right. I think he did end up in the galley, like towards, because my last 2 years in the Sea Org, I was just like out on mission the entire time, and I would like go back to the base, once every 6 months, once every 8 months, whatever. I think that's correct. Last information I have, that's correct.
Someone's
but
got to
when
wash the pots and pans, right?
yeah, right. But like when I knew him,
doing that for like the conditions, but maybe it's.
no, it
I'm
was a
starting to
posting.
think it might have had something to do with me out, and the email obviously that I sent to him after they were trying to get me to go to CC
Yeah.
Ethics.
Potentially.
Well, hey,
Probably were like, you're going to the dishes until she's handled, or you've disconnected.
Yeah, but being posted in the galley is so much better than being posted in the call center. That's like a quality of life upgrade. It's the same amount of sleep and less people screaming at you.
Yeah. Oh, Aaron's putting up a question. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jackson. What were you going to say?
I was gonna, with Laura, and is it B? Do you want to be referred as B?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And I saw a question there. Is it Garrett or Jackson? It's Jackson. Call me Jackson. No, Aaron, I wanted to give a perspective here as a starting point, really, of life at the Imp base as a kid, from my perspective, in that every Sunday was an exciting day for the kids.
Free day.
Saturday
And
night, Sunday was, because that was the one day a week that they would stand out there, 10:45, 11 o'clock at night, looking to see if their parents got off the bus. And
So first it was at nighttime, and then they
And then it would
shifted the
be
whole
Sunday
schedule
morning,
where
right?
CSP, it was Saturday night CSP.
Yeah.
After long reno days, and you were allowed to have, hangout time once you got past or whatever with the kids. And so we were allowed to sleep over and at least have like that Saturday night, and then the Sunday morning hang out, and then catch the bus back, the one van or run back to
but the
rink.
perspective I wanted to kind of convey here was my standing there witnessing all these kids eagerly standing there waiting for the bus to show up and watching it come up the drive. And the door, the driver would hit the doors would open, and the kids would eagerly be watching to see if their parents getting off. They don't know whether their parents truly coming or not.
Yeah, there's
And
no way we know.
It was the guarantee there was always a handful of kids that would walk away disappointed because
Crying.
their parents
No,
did
we
not.
would run
Yeah.
in. We didn't want to dramatize in front of
Yeah.
everybody, so we would run quickly or walk quickly back to our dorm and put our head in our pillow
Yeah.
until we got over it.
Every Sunday, every Saturday, Sunday, for however long it Dave knocked it out after a while because he kept calling for some of these staff members who he found out that were out there visiting their kids that night or that morning. And eventually that time went away from the kids. But I just wanted to convey that of standing there watching these poor little kids, how sad it was. Even though I was aware of it, there was nothing I could do about it. But
See, so this is what we knew about Jackson, or like Mr. Jackson. We just knew, like, oh, he is such a security chief because he has both sides. That's what we felt as kids towards him. That was such a huge thing, Jackson. I can't believe you even brought that up. It's just bring me right back to emotional state. But when my mom would just open her arms, and I would be almost like, let go, like I'm allowed to get out of attention. I see my mom, I'm allowed to run to her. What also is like the crazy thing is mom just sees this exciting kid running towards her, and so she's not going to question, are you mad about anything that went bad that week? Like, and you're just so happy to finally see your mom and have free time, and which they later changed to CSP. Anyway, but that hug and everything made everything okay for the rest of the week. That like, okay, my mom was so theta, and that recharged my energy. I was able to just like, so when they don't come, it's like the worst thing.
Yeah, terrible, freaking terrible.
For the
I'm
whole
sorry,
week.
Laura, I didn't.
And then you get into so much other trouble because you're in a bad mood and you start arguing with the adult, and then you have to start cleaning because your parent didn't come. So you have to go. It's just horrible.
Wait, so if your parent...
Yeah, so if your parent didn't come, no, that was a good question.
They would assign the kids tasks to keep them distracted.
Because
like, as a little group.
But L. Ron Hubbard also wrote it as that's the cruise ship cleaning time or whatever the fuck, right?
Clean station.
So it's part of the family time, however they made that okay. But it also is actually okay. Well, if the parents see here, then back to your post, back to your job. God. So I just hated it.
Yeah,
it was quite a thing to witness. I just wanted to use that as like a starting point.
An outside perspective. That's so crazy. Like I was like, how did no other parents know this? Oh, because they didn't know. Because if they didn't show up, they would never see how upset their kids were.
And sadly,
and we weren't allowed to tell them because it would be distracting an executive from their post.
Sadly, some of the parents weren't. They were taking it as they get extra sleep at this point, so they didn't have anything necessarily planned or, whatever. It just, I remember, come on, let's go. We got to get to bed. A few of those type of things. It just was this wicked weird. But it was interesting to see the kids, how happy they were. You see these memes of these dogs waiting for the serviceman family member, mom or dad, to come back, get off the plane. You see the dog sitting there wagging his tail and just can't wait. And he cuts loose and jumps all over in the airport.
Doesn't want to let go.
That's kind of like what it was like for these kids.
Yeah.
And the sad thing was, not every parent made it out there. And what was her name? Leah. Remember Leah, the Asian receptionist who walked out to Happy Valley because she missed the bus?
Oh yeah, Jay Lewis's mom.
Yeah.
Or was
Leah
it his
Lewis.
older sister?
Leah. Well, she was going out there to see her kid, and there were some parents that, through thick and thin, even though she had to be held back, she missed the bus out there, her one chance to get out there to see her kid. Of course, people on staff, her boss, didn't really give two flying fucks, excuse my French.
They didn't care if you made it.
They
to see
didn't.
your
They
kid
didn't
or not.
care.
And there is only one run. That's why I said
Yeah.
there's one. At the time, it was one van that they would use to ship the kids around from Gold Base and back.
Well, unfortunately, you know what happened on her effort walking out there, right? Mind you, this is a
tell them, Gary.
45, a good hour and a half walk,
From Gold Base
minute
to the
drive
ranch.
in the absolute dark desert, sand, whatever. She ended up getting attacked by one of the Indians on the reservation. And I'll leave it at that.
He was raped.
Yeah.
Am I not allowed to say that on YouTube or whatever?
It's
okay,
just a gentle,
that's what happened. An
she ended up
Indian
getting raped
on the property
on her
because
way
she
to
was
go
trying to
see
see
her
her
kid.
son, Jay,
Yeah.
who definitely needed to see his mom.
Yeah.
He was always in trouble.
But that drive from Leah as a mother to go see her kid after she completed her Sea Org task and satisfied her boss, she still was in her own drive was walking out there to see her kid that one chance, that 1 week. You didn't know what weeks laid ahead that you could see your kid. So the week right now is the only time you knew you could see your kid for those that had the drive. So that's what ended up happening to her. It didn't get, huh?
Wait,
How did
Aaron,
Scientology handle that?
Yep.
Well, in a nutshell, that was something that I was involved with Ken Hoden. We found out the next morning, mind you, after she continued her journey after that event to see her kid. She kept it quiet, and we didn't find out about it till later in the afternoon the following day. And she kind of came quietly up to me and told me, and I quickly got Ken Hoden and had her repeat it. And we got her in counseling, with whatever the routine was. It just, we didn't call 911 and all that. It just,
wait, Gary, it wasn't counseling.
No, I know.
Okay, she was put in a sec check auditing.
Yeah.
To see what
To find
she
out
did
what she
wrong
did
to pull that in.
It was considered that she pulled it in, like she did something for that to have happened.
Asian lady.
Just trying to go see her mother or go see her child.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was beat up over it. And I eventually, it was taken. The guy was caught, identified and caught and arrested. And I confirmed, and actually not too long ago, that justice was served and the guy served prison time.
So for the record, Scientology will involve the police when the attacker is not a Scientologist.
That is not a Scientologist.
Yep.
None of that justice can't be trusted in the hands of man bullshit.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, no, of course.
No, it was the full ringer. We got as much time out of him as they could.
I'm sure.
And I had that confirmed, documented. I talked to the sheriff deputy who put his hands on the records and the documents.
There also, do you remember this thing? Sorry to cut you, but
No,
I
that's
also
okay.
want to add to you, Gary. Do you remember this thing? I remember this very visually, and I never knew what happened. At the ranch, there was Indians shooting at Tara and Leah.
Yeah.
Running, not Leah, the same Leah, a child Leah, one of the cadets, Lena, Tara, and Leah. And it started because one of the kids was trying to blow the ranch. And so 3 or 2 of the older ethics cadets went to go chase them to get them back. And on the way down, there was drunk Indians where there always are down below the outside of the ranch. And they pulled out a gun and started chasing them, the kids, off the fucking street back to the ranch, and was literally threatening and shot in the air at them because there's this whole feud between the Indians. They feel were lied to about Scientology renting that property. So right off the bat, when they realized that it's not for a private school, it's for this. They just it was just not. There was always a thing to try to like balance out the friendliness between the Int Ranch and the Indians.
Yep.
I got a question.
Anyway, so
I got a quick question.
Go ahead, Aaron.
The Int base itself is so big. Why in the hell did they keep the cadets on a completely different property? Why was the ranch located in a completely different area where you had to go through the reservation to even get there when the base is already big enough to accommodate something like that?
Well, my answer to that is I don't 100% know, and I used to wonder the thing, why don't we just bring them all to the base? But they were considered too much of a distraction to operations.
That's exactly
And,
what we were told.
um,
We are a distraction to the post, and that's why we were separated. It was up to the child's responsibility to not distract their parents. So don't
Yeah.
give them any negative information on the weekend or the Sunday when you
Yeah.
do see them in the morning.
Yeah, the kids used to get briefed by their supervisors, their governors, the do's and don'ts in preparation for their parents coming.
God.
What you can and can't say, and you better not. And if you do's, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people ask how come I hear a lot of background noise.
It sounds
My
like a
window's
choo-choo
open.
train.
The lawnmower
Oh.
guy's outside. I'm gonna go close it. Sorry.
Or you can just mute it. That's okay.
Did I not call that
Absolutely. 100% called it. You know her. You know her so well.
Yeah.
It's very like, I'm just gonna jump in here real quick. It's really cute watching you guys interact because it's like you know each other and you like there's a very familial kind of feel.
Yeah. No,
in
Laura and
how
I
you
have
relate.
a really fun brother sister bond.
Yeah, it's really
we
sweet.
kind of always have, and she'll tell you about this. But you know, one thing that really excited me, it's a little side note, is Laura was part of a band. Its head lead singer was this incredible gal. Her band musical name is Lady
Madam Gandhi.
Madam Gandhi. I always said Lady.
Her
Gandhi, but-
her first name is Kieran Gandhi, but her band is Madam Gandhi.
And Laura was part of this band, and they came through Portland, put on a gig, and I opened my door. And how many of bandmates were you? Were there you? So there's 8 girls staying in my house. What was it for 3
All
or 4
different
days?
ethnicities.
Yeah, all
8
different.
women.
It was
We're
incredibly
just
fun.
Like, I was like, Gary,
yeah,
any chance
yeah.
you want to host us?
I was like, hell yeah, and kept their van secure, all their equipment. They gave them a place to rest their head. We had food.
And we felt
played
so
music.
freaking comfortable.
Yeah, it was so
That
much
was
fun.
such a
It was like a
healing-
big,
oh my
big
God.
beanbag party per se, you know. And
Literally.
looking up
Love that.
yeah, we were dancing and singing. It was just, it was incredible. And then, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Laura and I have a good soulful bond. So
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Also, me and Gary have also talked. I just remembered his niceness as being a child. Like, remember, even though, you know, we're in a cult, what do we know? I just remembered his niceness, even though we are enforced to enforce things. I just remembered that. And so when I did leave, and I even remember, like, Gary Jackson, I was like, what do I? And then I hear his voice when I first talked to him, and I was like, oh my God, it's him. He was the nice one. And then later on the years, they started to get really hardcore and stiff on, like, you're not allowed to be nice. You're not. Anyway, so when I was able to talk to him, it was so, you helped me get through a lot of my own self-therapy because I had so much unanswered questions. And Gary just was like, oh, well, that's because of this. Oh, and as an adult, hearing what was going on during the times that kids were doing certain things, and it all makes sense. And it really, that's what I hope to do for everybody watching Aaron's channel, all the kids that are still in, obviously, but all the cadets that are so afraid to speak about this. Like, even if they're out, you know, they're so afraid. It's trauma built into their brain. So I'm like trying to show them in such a loving way. Like, I go through this every day. Everything not everything, but like, and it's just because of the traumatic impact that Scientology has on a child's brain when they're like trying to just like learn things in a natural way, and they can't.
Absolutely.
Messes up their whole lives. This is why it takes people who try to leave, who are sort of thinking about leaving, who even do leave. It takes them 20 years to finally go, oh no, I have to tell people to hurry up and get out so they don't waste all this time just unbrainwashing themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, more and more cadets, the Int Ranch, the ranch that was in Clearwater, the Pack Ranch, more and more cadets speaking out and telling the stories of the horrible things that happened under Scientology's watch is Scientology's worst nightmare.
So important. It's literally so important.
It's such an untouched canon of vicious detail that, and again, under the cloak of religion, another day goes by and they're not held accountable for it. It just, it's truly disgusting. I would rather,
Sick.
I don't even want to give another analogy because It's just, and Dave Miscavige is the leader of it and runs it and directs it.
Mhm.
And
He knows exactly
he
what's
don't
going
give
on.
he knows exactly what's going on, and he's the
Yeah.
one that abolished the idea of kids at the base anyway. So
Yeah.
but that should tell you something.
Yeah.
There's
'Cause
two main topics that I feel like, well, one way to describe it is just Scientology's worst nightmare, but I also feel like they're both ready to pop off in major ways. And one topic is how all the cadets were treated. And the other topic is how all these underage girls were recruited into the Sea Org by predators like Gavin Potter and Brandon Faust and Nick Christensen. And there's another one that I'm missing.
Jimmy
and
Page.
Oh, Jimmy Page is one. That's not even the one I was thinking of. Let me pull it up here. Where is it? David
David
Jensen.
Larabure.
David
David
Jensen.
Jensen.
David
David-
Jensen.
Oh my God, David Jensen.
And this lawsuit that was just unsealed on Wednesday, suing David Miscavige, Gavin Potter, RTC, CSI, and Bridge Publications for trafficking and sexual abuse. This is not just a one party suing five parties. This is a lawsuit where they want as many of these underage girls who were recruited into the Sea Org with flirting or threats or coercion or whatever to be added to this lawsuit. And so I'm just going to be doing an ungodly number of videos about this subject for the next many months with as many people who want to talk about their experience as possible, because this is where shit gets very real. And Scientology could be held very much accountable. This might only be a lawsuit for now, but it will almost certainly turn into a criminal proceeding. The more, the better.
Mhm.
And so I see these two subjects as being strangely related. In my mind,
Very
I see
much.
the recruitment of underage girls and the treatment of these kids as very similar.
Mhm.
It's the equivalent, it's the equivalent of somebody kind of, I know it sounds the same, but it's like if somebody locked your child up and in jail, and then they just got so used to that, you learn to manipulate just the little last things that they loved and like to get you to do, like, it's insane. Like, but how do you say that? That doesn't sound like a real thing, but it is. Like, the ranch was
Yeah.
purposely purchased on Indian property. These, like, people are purposely recruited with this hunky man coming around. I totally know who this is, Gavin dude is. My dad introduced me to him when I had just finished my liability conditions and everything. I was back in good standing. He's like, hey, this is my daughter. And then later on, him and some other people were in a major horrible recruiting reg cycle with my aunt, where I walked in. I've never seen my aunt cry. She was bawling, and she saw me. We were supposed to have lunch, and I was kind of like, hey, let's go. And she threw her purse and crying like, then just take my wallet and my checks. I couldn't believe it. I was like, Gavin, my dad introduced me to you. You're supposed, I remember having this thing like, how is my aunt sobbing? And you got like 4 dudes are like, you need to write that check now. Anyhow, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story, but
Yeah. So it's kind of like, Laura, can you think of any other than Catherine Spallino? Catherine Spallino was any other cadets that you were with who are publicly speaking out about it? Can you think of anyone other than
than myself? No, that's the thing with other than, it's not that it's not that they don't agree with me. They're definitely like, yep, all these things happen. Oh my God, I'm so proud of. They literally are not speaking about it and showing their face because they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to lose the last little thing of their mother, even though like their mother is a psycho and they've told them like, look, Mom, I know you're so trained and you're hardcore. Like, I don't care about not saying names. I've said names my whole life.
Yeah, go for it.
Everybody uses my names. I can use their names, but there are certain kids and from all the ranches, like LA, Florida, the Gold Ranch, Int Ranch, where they are literally have one parent, like my mother, I didn't do this, where they're just on this very important job and they can't they can't even, they have to say, hey, I'm not friends with, oh, I haven't seen Laura or I haven't seen Megan in 8 years, but they can say hi to me a little bit here and there on Instagram or this, or on a message on Facebook, but they can't like certain things. They can't ever show that they are still supporting me, that we're still in any kind of friendship or any sort of connection. So I've lost over the last 6 years, I've definitely lost really good, amazing, beautiful, deep kid friends that I did so much fun, rebellious stuff and good stuff. And I've helped, and I was there when they were going to kill themselves. And then there's so many things that I'm like, you can't just take this away and say that the reason we're not connected or close is because your parents are not in the Sea Org. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. Otherwise, I would be hanging out with you every day. I would be chatting with you. We would, you know what I mean? So it feels like I am the only one from the Ranch Cadet Org who is talking about this openly. I know some people are definitely declared, and this isn't their thing. They're not like gonna, or maybe it is, and they just don't have an outlet, a proper platform to do it. Like, so there was a documentary I did. I told you about this, Aaron. This is why I was like, yes, I'm definitely doing Aaron inspired me to do YouTube, the SPTV, because I was like, I mean, I'm already a creator and a performer and all this, but I was also like, this is so fucked up that like I have these close friends that I'm feeling like I'm supposed to hold on to psychologically and friend wise, but yet they have a certain stance towards me and what they can't. It just feels fake. It's like, this is why I left Scientology. And it's not, it feels like, well, they're like, well, if you're going to make that decision, then I have to go. And it's like, you don't have to go. It has to go. Scientology has to go. You don't have to go. We can be these young, wild, free babies that we've never been allowed to be. So I'm here for all of that. If there are any kids, if there's any cadets, if you want to, can I just put out my current mailing address? Nobody get crazy, not my apartment. The current mailing address, if you are afraid to even digitally email me something and you just want your own private letter just to be sent to me or whatever, good or bad, if there's something I did or if there's something I can help with and it has nothing to do with that and it has to do with the kids at the cadet org or whatever, please mail me something. The address is 1110 North Virgil Avenue, number 349, Los Angeles, California, 90027. You can address it to Laura Anderson directly or Laura FM and put in there whatever you want. You can always email me or message me directly on Instagram or anything if you're just okay with just me being quiet about who you are. Any information about the kids at the ranch, I've been collecting it and I know every single kid there, so it's easy for you to contact me if you're ready.
Awesome. And anyone out there who has any experience, either it happened to them or their sister or their kid who was aggressively recruited, right? So an underage child being aggressively recruited. I guess in this scenario, I feel like it's leaning more towards underage girls. Aggressively recruited by older male recruiters coming midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., inappropriateness, any weirdness. You can message me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. And if you're interested in participating in this lawsuit, we'll figure out the next steps.
Here's the interesting thing with that, Aaron. It kind of goes both ways. So what I mean by that is when I joined the Sea Org in 2012, like right around that time, maybe a little bit afterwards, they did a whole reorganization and they took all of the loose recruiters and stuck them in something they called Central HCO. And so it was just this little hub of like 5 or 6 teams of recruiters. And they specifically were all young and hot. And they would have female recruiters go recruit underage males and male recruiters go recruit underage females. And sometimes it would be like a male-female pair team so they could recruit, everybody. And then sometimes it would be like 2 hunky dudes. And sometimes it would be like a cute little girl who's going to like, oh my God, come join the Sea Org. I'm single. Like that whole thing. So I think really like regardless of gender, they were doing the same shit. Like same gross tricks to get people to join as kids.
I have this, I feel bad about it still to this day, but I recruited this chick. Of course I'm gonna blank on her name right now. Anyways, I recruited her, and she was, I want to say Christine or something. Anyways, she was like 14, and the only reason I was recruiting her is because there were all these other men like trying to recruit her, and I saw her get like crying. And I literally have her visual, and her brother's has blonde hair, and he's really sweet too. And he got braces. Anyways, whatever. He's in Clearwater. They're in Clearwater, and she's still in the Sea Org. And now she's like in a higher position, which is so crazy. But I recruited her, and she was literally being like bombarded by all these good looking, prepped whatever, and I basically brought her away, and I made her feel better. I was like, look, this is what, like, what do you want to do? Also, like, I was like, you're not a child, so like, even like, you're stronger than these guys, and this is what they're trying to say. It's like, if you're in the Sea, are you going to use this strong capability? You're not going to go waste your time. I literally I recruited her. She was like, okay, I'll join the Sea Org. She signed it after me, and now I feel like crap, but she's still in there. Kristen is her name. She's so sweet, so cute. Totally did not want to sign, and her brother signed like a week before, and then that also encouraged her, I bet, with my talking to her, and that you'll be with me, and then you'll go to CMO. She went to CMO. She's probably still in CMO.
Well, and that's the thing. None of these kids want to join the Sea Org.
No, they're literally crying and stuff, and having panic attacks.
They're given some combination of the fear of God. Gavin Potter would have this, and I know Brendan Faust did this as well. This whole briefing of how L. Ron Hubbard said, we only have 20 years to prevent the end of the world. And literally there's nothing you could do in your life that has any value other than joining the Sea Org if you believe what LRH says. But of course, all these Scientology kids are, brainwashed to believe everything LRH says. And so some combination of putting the fear of God into them, plus flirting with them.
Yep, 100%. I mean, it gives them their only option out. Like, oh, if I do this, look, there's some fun and young excitement. In their mind, they're going, what's fun and young? Ooh, if I do this really cool, good thing for the world, maybe I can also look at, they're having so much fun. Why am I saying no?
Right.
Like our brains, your young brain doesn't think very far. You haven't experienced much. And if you're in this Sea Org thing, it's like, if you were in Scientology growing up as a public Scientologist, you're already being worked into like thinking, oh, I'm doing something bad by not joining the Sea Org, the most elite organization.
Well, also like in LA, there's a handful of Scientology schools that are like applied scholastic schools, private schools where you just go and like you're just surrounded by other Scientology kids, and it's a domino effect. All it takes is like one of your friend group joins the Sea Org, and then like everybody else goes with, and it's like this whole thing with all the cliques. And it was always like there would be recruiters showing up after school, like just off of school property, but just like waiting, perched like vultures, trying to like snag kids and like take them to Starbucks and give them the briefing at Starbucks. It was crazy. Like you would literally, people would hide in the bathrooms from the recruiters. Like they would like look out and see like, oh, the recruiters are here, like everybody go hide in like the secret bathroom.
So one of the things David Jensen would do, because his dad Craig Jensen was a gazillionaire who owned Executive Software and had a ton of young Scientology boys and girls who worked for him. That's the other thing. Even at Executive Software, or it might have been called something else.
It was Executive. I used to work there.
And then it was Diskeeper, I think.
After that, changed to Diskeeper.
They had Scientology kids as young as 14, 15, 16 years old working there. And so David would just camp out. He's like, my dad owns the place. He would just camp out in the reception waiting for these kids to get off work because they can't avoid him. He's on the way out. And he would literally use his privileged position with these kids working for his father to force them to hear his little Sea Org recruitment shtick. And definitely had a captive audience with these kids who were forced to experience this against their will, even for fear of possibly losing their job if they didn't humor the son of the owner. And who knows how many of these kids David got into the Sea Org.
They also he also did this with like survival insurance, all these Scientology and companies. I don't know if it's survival, but there's insurance companies. There's some that they're literally hardcore OT5 owners of these things. And they would allow the Sea Org members to be sitting. I remember going to some insurance or maybe it was Earth, whatever. I remember going to a possible job of Scientologists, and the reason they didn't hire me is because I was XSO. But other than that, they're like, you would have been good for the job, but you were in the Sea Org, But they had in the recruitment office, I was going, oh my God, those are Sea Org members. Those are Sea Org recruiters, literally looking for young people in here to fucking recruit. Yeah. Anyhow, that's 100% true. I've seen that.
David Jensen, I'm pretty sure this is the same dude. He was married to Sunny.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So by the time I showed up on the scene, he and Sunny were already out of the Sea Org. He was the coach. He was the basketball coach at Renaissance, the Applied Scholastic School that I went to, and they were just popping out kids left, right, and center.
You went to Renaissance, Larry Gluck?
Yeah.
Larry.
Yes, I was best friends with Alex Gluck.
Oh my God,
I was super tight with Alex Gluck.
I was the estates manager there shortly after I left the Sea Org.
No. Yeah. No. I went to Renaissance. My mom worked.
You
at
remember
Renaissance
the girl that had the
time.
license plate? That she loved Derek Jeter. Remember?
Yes.
Her? Yeah. Okay.
That was Sunny, wasn't it?
No, maybe it was. I don't know. No, she had a license plate.
I also worked at Delphi. I worked at Delphi Academy, where Catherine actually, I think between her and the people, the random Scientologists I lived with, they got me a job there.
You were going to say something, Aaron?
Well, if anybody ever wanted any further anecdotal evidence for how small Scientology is, just notice how all Scientologists know each other.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it's not 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's,
no, it's
1 degree.
It's 0.5 degrees. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let's tackle some of these super chats. Pam says, Laura, did your parents ever apologize for giving you such an awful childhood? Much love to you all from Yorkshire, UK.
Sorry, baby. No, they did not. And they're still wondering when I'm going to get my shit together and come back and get some ethics, sec checks, and overts. I think
now they know that ship has sailed.
Mm-hmm.
Jay says, Laura, so happy you got out and support this. Okay, Amber Vanass. I was also a cadet, but at the PAC base. I renovated the PAC ranch for all the younger kids to move up to, and they made me get into the Sea Org. Does anybody know Amber? Does that name ring a bell?
So
I was there a few times, but I don't.
Yeah, I know an Amber Porter, but she was at the Ant Ranch, so no.
Okay.
But
Jay
says, she's still in the Sea Org? She's not in the Sea Org, obviously.
There's no way she's
just left it, and they made me join the Sea Org. I'm like, but you're out, right? Are you in there?
Thank you,
so
Jay.
Happy you are out too. Glad you're here. Stacy, you're also brave. Heroes. Okay, Jen with a super sticker. Thank you, Jen. Ms. Pillow, you're also amazing, intelligent, committed folks with incredibly big hearts who are helping so very many people. And we love you and appreciate you all. Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much. Red Tar for me. Great group tonight, but good. No cargo shorts, flip-flops, jamos, slippers, Levi's, Vans. I don't get it.
I think the cargo shorts flip-flops is throwing me off, and I don't know what jamos is. I'm wondering if this is maybe some
those are pajamas with slippers.
Oh, I think no. I think this is this is totally a cadet org uniform or a Sea Org uniform kind of thing. We always wore khaki shorts, cargo pants, basically khaki shorts, white shirts, and flip-flops. Or Levi, yeah, it was like a certain, I don't know, maybe this is totally wrong, but I think it was like, this is the cool, if you could get away with it, you were like able to wear Vans with your cargo pants as your uniform, so it looked kind of casual.
Whatever this is meant to say, it gets away with the cool factor because Vans.
Right?
Somebody was wearing Vans, baby.
By the way, Laura, are you wearing your Danny Masterson Prison Orange?
Oh, yeah.
You got your plastic sandals on too?
This is my, as part of my Lara FM TV, I refuse not to wear this exact color, which I need to correct you, Aaron. It's not any kind of yellow like the highlights. This is a very specific color. It's called goldenrod, which I have now been inspired. It's called goldenrod, and it comes from the marigold flower, which I now got so fucking inspired. I went down a whole tunnel, and I was like, I'm doing a music video that is literally this. Where it's all of the SPs are first nothing. You're just given the order. You're given your SP order. You're declared right. Oh, you got to go get to work. And then later throughout the whole, you'll have to watch the video when it's done. But whoever's invited, if you are literally officially declared, or you heard you were declared and you are an official SP, please contact me to be in this video if you can in LA. But basically you'll be wearing this and coming out of marigolds. Like, you guys are actually the free flowers. We're all these free flowers. But anyways, this is the actual color. It's called goldenrod. It's like it's not just like a nice goldy yellow. It's a very orange specific color.
So do you have an ethics order number and date, and also on the back side?
That'll be on the jail suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, Laura. That is really a beautiful, creative idea.
I'm gonna ruin my backdrop here, but you could probably see no, you can't. I was gonna say you could oh, there you go.
Oh, I see that.
There's the SP jumpsuit that Danny Masterson wishes he could be wearing right
Is that what you were sort of threatening to wear to court?
Oh yeah, I was gonna wear this too, Danny Masterson. And then actually I had it in the van, and the only reason I didn't is because I didn't want to take attention away. I didn't want them to be like, oh, who's that rocker looking girl with that, And I'm glad I didn't, because it was really intense and fucked up. And I was just like, this is so depressing. I'm so glad I was not the
Thanks for being there, Laura, by the way. That was pretty cool.
Aaron's the boss on that one.
Laura. Okay, so here's one. Laura, Maria de Jesus Gutierrez was actually at the show. She's one of the people that came to the meetup at Molly Malone's. Laura, your 513 show reminded me of shows by my Burning Man buddies. Have you been to that thing in the desert, or is it just a coincidence?
Look, Laura's
I'm a burner, baby. I'm a burner. Yeah, I love Burning Man. I've been there 3 times. I would go again this year, but I'm going to Power Trip Festival as
I almost got paid
financial trip instead.
I almost got paid, Laura, to go to Burning Man for a company I was working for.
You should. Oh yeah, no.
Well,
you can,
I was
not
so
paid.
secretly.
They don't really.
No.
Well,
I was working for a company that was going to be hired to go out there and provide
Gary,
all the
they
lighting.
would love to. They would hire you right now as a. No. I'm not kidding. They would hire you. They would give you a ticket. They would, if you signed up for the Rangers or something, 100%. They would. You have a perfect resume, and your heart and your attitude is perfect for Burning Man.
I know. I have fun. I'm just saying, it just was comedic how I always secretly wanted to go, and I ended up working for a company who
not
was
a
actually,
secret anymore.
Yeah. And
you can go. You can go next year. I'll make sure
I still got to go to a rave also, so. Yeah,
it's gonna happen. I'm not kidding, Gary. I will be like, Gary, you're going to Burning Man.
Yeah, that's such a
I'll make sure you're with
idea
me
for me, but yeah. Anyway,
no, Jackson's getting so excited he's turning red.
He is. Gary, it's also a lot of people. I'm not here to talk about Burning Man, but a lot of people have put this whole. Everybody has their own fingerprint, their own concept, their own views, their own goggles. Burning Man can be amazing as you want it, exactly how you want it, without any of the crap you've heard. Burning Man is very amazing. It's just corrupted in certain ways by certain specific human beings. That's it.
Yeah, there's also regional burns, which are smaller and depending.
Yeah, and they're so fun. So you can practice. You can go to the regional burns and practice, Gary, with your little sugar.
Transform.
Sugar.
Did you? Yeah.
But the rave scene in Portland is amazing. Like, there's such a solid scene there. It's been there for years and years and years. You could definitely find something.
And a lot of burners in Portland for sure. Anyways, to answer that question, yes, I've been to Burning Man. I freaking love it. And I've also performed in that dusty dirt and went crazy with a bigger show than the one you probably saw at Burning Man. And it was amazing. I love it.
On the playa. What do they call the dust? What do they call it? It's got a. But they call the dust the playa.
They just call it playa because it comes off of the playa.
Yeah.
You basically are on the moon. That's how it feels when you're walking on the. And forever, you don't see anything else. It's just dust and this shit. So it puts you physically in a whole different world.
Nice. All right, this next one's off topic, but I'll tackle it real quick. Rural SD lawyer. Aaron, please explain Mitch's comments last night about the cushy beds and gourmet food at Gold. Seems different from what we've all heard before.
Okay, I can help fill that in for you.
Mitch and I will be doing a lot more chats, by the way. I was probably in a bad mood last night and didn't quite realize it. So
you were.
The comments on that interview just are horrible, but on both me and Mitch. Oh my God, it's terrible.
I know. I was watching the whole thing.
Oh my God.
I didn't finish watching it. I stopped watching in the middle because I was like, ooh.
I didn't care. No, I was like, this is awkward. And I don't know why. And I was like, Aaron does look a little tired and probably is like, just like, tell me the answer. Don't, and I was like, Aaron, You do this to me sometimes, but Mitch is like, he probably has only been out for 2 years. We've been out for a long time. Like his brain is processing.
Okay, but one of the things he said was that the people at the int base have a high standard of living, but a terrible quality of life. And in defining standard of living, he mentioned gourmet food and cushy beds. Now, nobody's ever said the beds are shit. It's just that when you're not sleeping in your bed, you're sleeping in the swamp or on the golf course or whatever. But go ahead, Jackson, provide some context here. Is the food great? I don't know. I've never heard anybody talk about it.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's exceptional. It's just we definitely ate good. It wasn't a series of hot dogs and, whatever. We actually had established menus that would get published, and we knew what we were going to eat ahead. We had cooks. We had a baker. There was a lot of creativity put in just with the food. And then we had our annual events.
They had young Int Ranch cadets having a huge farm only making organic vegetables for the executives at the Gulf.
Yeah, for the execs. So
slave work, just saying.
In terms of the comfy beds, now Mitch again is just referring to the fact that it wasn't we weren't hanging from nails sleeping and all that. It just you cannot not say that we had a good roof over our head and a nice place to rest our head.
For some people, Gary.
Well, and then of course, people. I mean, and again, that was something else I was going to add about the kids' ranches. They always got second fiddle to the meals. They got the leftovers.
They got the leftovers from
They
Gold
literally would be taken out on the bus, covered
on
in
the van run.
Hotel pans covered in aluminum foil, and they got what they get. So, but yeah, Mitch was trying to convey a concept, and that whole thing between that whole interview, Aaron, that was so raw. It couldn't have been more raw. So
I loved it.
I thought it
told
was
him,
fantastic.
I said, look, it was so informative. It might have been awkward and weird, but there's so much to say. And it's like, okay, get to the point. Oh, he does have a point about the 2020 thing. Like, whatever. Okay. But it was very informative. And I feel like Mitch also needs to get used to it.
A majority of Aaron's listeners were so advanced in their knowledge base about what Scientology and all these people Mitch was referring to was about. It was kind of peeing on on Mitch's own parade by relating this, that he had his own experiences. So that's all. It's just an icebreaker. First time Mitch did his thing, and everybody came to eventually understand it. And Aaron, yes, you did a good job.
Part of what was going on in retrospect, I think Mitch and I have already spent a dozen hours talking on the phone with no weirdness or awkwardness or anything. And I think part of it was like a frustration that for some reason the conversation on camera was going a little differently. And I'm thinking like, what the fuck? Honestly, I'm thinking like, what the fuck? What's changed? Like, this isn't how it normally goes when we talk. So I was probably a bit frustrated. Plus maybe the camera honestly does change, makes it a little difficult. Who knows? I don't know.
On Mitch's defense, it was guaranteed a realization that this is really happening. I'm really speaking out. And the people that he always didn't want to hear one time are truly hearing it now for the first time. And he's taken a lot of strength to arrive where he's at. And Aaron, you really provided a great platform for him to do it. And
we're gonna have a ton more conversations.
Mitch
and
is
Aaron, you
such
can't
a great
have like
guy.
a perfect interview every time, okay?
No. Okay.
You can't be the best at this, okay?
Oh, Lord, that's fabulous. Anyway,
all right, Marilyn Honig from I really appreciate that, Jackson, too, and Laura, thank you so much, everybody. Okay, Marilyn Honig, Coffee, Cults, and Crafts. Your stories are also heartbreaking. Thank you for speaking out. The abuses need to stop. We will all celebrate with you the day David Miscavige goes down. Indeed. Jay says, hey, Aaron, are they bringing charges against all these abuses and child slave labor they have been committing for so many years? Well, not yet, but I do believe we will see that coming. Part of what the thing is, even the authorities don't always seem to be crystal clear on where to draw the line on protected religious activity when it comes to organizations like Scientology. Like, where exactly do you draw the line between what's protected and what's not? And that's my editorialization. It does seem that there does tend to be a question on this. And of course, Scientology has a reputation for being very litigious and vengeful. And, bureaucrats don't exactly want to spend the rest of their career taking on Scientology. But when it comes to something like when you can focus attention onto a very specific issue that the law is crystal clear on, for example, what Danny Masterson did, I think we have seen that the law will act. I do think we have states attorneys and district attorneys who are very much interested in taking action in the areas where they can. So I believe the answer to this question is they may not yet, but I think they will soon.
And if more people will even just come out either on their own channels or whatever, or even just expose it in some way, whatever happened to them, then it will go faster, but it's like dominoes effect. It will literally everything we're all doing is literally helping this.
And I will tell you this. I have personally been in contact with a member of a law enforcement agency in the last 72 hours who is incredibly, he shocked me how well versed he is about Scientology, anything and everything, even so much so that he knows the actual dollar value of the church's financial investments versus what's in their bank accounts. So the depth in which these folks, albeit they're not acting like you and I would assume they would, like we just witnessed an accident, we call 911 and say, please respond. This is not that type of scenario when we get aggravated by the lack of law enforcement. They are doing what they can do. Certainly not fast enough, and I've been very open about it. But I just want you guys to know that everything we say here and is talked about over the last years, from the FBI to law enforcement agencies, the information is there. Why the hell they don't act on it, I don't know. Cloak of religion and the legal system. They will.
No, that's what Aaron was saying.
But they will.
What Aaron was saying is that it's being protected behind this religious status, which, by the way, I was as a little kid at the event clapping.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we clapping so hard? Something must have happened. Goes, everybody, the war is over. Right. And David Miscavige, however he said it. But that's how we felt. I felt as a kid like, oh my God, we just blew the lid off of psychiatry or something. I didn't know what it was. I just knew now our struggle is over. And that was when Scientology, quote unquote, became a religion. They became a religion. But then we had to get used to our mouths saying the Church of Scientology because we never even heard of that. And I was like, church? Isn't that a weird
gained
thing?
Recognition as a religion as if a firefighter was certified by a seamstress.
Who used to be the wife of a fire department. There is some legal thing where they do have sign up.
Laura, that may have been too simple and went right over your head. Scientology was certified a religion on the same capacity as though if you were to certify a firefighter by a seamstress, as if a seamstress were to certify a firefighter as a firefighter. Scientology got away with...
I got that. I was including in your joke, I was saying... If the seamstress even over your head, buddy. If the seamstress even had if the seamstress even had some legal authority to, because right now they're being protected by a religious status, which is fucking bullshit. It was literally made up.
It's like Dave Miscavige is an ecclesiastical leader.
Couldn't do it. Yeah,
that was just a word pulled out of the dictionary. That was a word pulled out of the dictionary to make him sound good. Dave himself doesn't even know what ecclesiastical means. Apple box boy, get out of town.
Yeah, the religion thing is it is. I'm sorry, Aaron. Go ahead.
Well, when it comes to these lawsuits and possible criminal action, criminal action. What's the word I'm looking for? An actual criminal case coming. Anyway, witnesses and corroborating witnesses are just as important as victims. So, in the Danny Masterson trial, there were more women raped by Danny Masterson who testified as witnesses than there were who he was actually on trial for having raped.
Yeah.
It's really
more women testified this also happened to me than he was even charged with. Just you know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the thing about underage kids being recruited and everything, it's not just who wants to join the lawsuit as a victim or a plaintiff. It's who can also provide corroborating testimony.
Yeah.
Right.
That it happened to them. Maybe someone's like, I don't want to, whatever. everyone's voice who has anything to say about this is helpful and needed and certainly welcome. That's for sure. So anyway, you're going to see an ungodly amount of video. You think I'm doing a lot of videos now? Just wait.
Aaron, there's before I forget, there's something I keep meaning to say. Do you remember the kid who worked at Bridge? He was an underage kid. He was working at Bridge and he went like 2 days without sleep and got his like finger cut off in one of the machines.
So I didn't know him, but I know who you're talking about. He's
declared like he blew. He's out there somewhere. Someone must know him. This
isn't the guy who already came out and then they enticed him with a bunch of money to go back in, right? Javier.
I don't know who that was. I never heard.
I feel like I remembered him getting his finger cut off story. I think it was him.
Maybe it was. I heard I know that things happened. Like there was someone who was going to be on the aftermath and then he like flipped and it was like a whole thing, but I never found out who that person was. Everyone was very tight-lipped about the details. If
Mark Headley's still in the chat, Mark, tell us, is the guy, that young Hispanic guy, if it's who I'm thinking of, they got this guy to go back to Scientology, quote unquote, meaning turn on everyone that had helped him, but they didn't actually want him back, by renting him an apartment for like 6 months and leasing him a car. So eventually, but he was so stupid, they didn't realize he didn't even realize that he didn't own the car. He didn't own the apartment. So once he did everything they wanted him to do, they hung him out to dry.
Was that Javier Joaquin?
Oh, I don't,
or whatever. The girl, they're curly black and salty black.
I mean, there's only one young Hispanic kid who blew from Bridge and left with a hard drive and stayed with Jason Begay and called the.
That was Daniel Montalvo.
Daniel Montalvo.
Daniel Montalvo.
Yeah.
Is that who we're talking about, B?
I don't think so, because this was years and years and years ago. This was before I was even in the Sea Org, because I heard stories about it, because that's why they don't allow minors to work the night shift at Bridge anymore.
Too many fingers getting cut off. Makes sense.
Yep. Correct. But also I worked with his mom.
Too many heads on him, Pike.
Okay, let's jump back to some super chats. Red Tar for me. Need your go-to style for my Aaron crochet. My go-to style is black button-down shirt and blue jeans. There you go. That's why I'm always wearing this. Okay, Ms. Pillow, you are all such high-functioning and good-hearted people. How do you think you're able to be such whole beings despite this Scientology abuse as young folks?
Well, first of all, we love each other. We really love each other too much. So there's a deep bond that really brings a good quality of us out. I'll tell you that.
Also, it is a really interesting thing, just real quick, Laura, that this question comes up all the time.
I don't think that we're whole, though. I think that we're still I'm not whole. I'm not whole. I'm not. Yeah. I feel like I write this song, learning and loving with you. I literally don't feel whole every day. I feel like, oh my God, I need more and more and more and more information. I need more therapy. I need more everything. The more I realize I need more and more and more. So we're not
high functioning is,
but I think people mix up high functioning, good-hearted people who are, so strong with just finally speaking their stories. And it just reflects back to the reader or the listener being like, what are you doing that you're holding that you're so proud of us for? Like maybe it's not all the time but there's something that in humans, we're so blessed and loved by other people when we're finally relieving something that has been holding us down or holding us just away from when we finally are able to talk about it. So it sounds
just
powerful.
As you explained, Miss Pillow sees what you just explained as I was going to read what Aaron had posted up there.
Here we go. Go ahead.
What you just explained is a perception that is received by our listeners that it's not even an appearance. It's just they see us as whole people, whole beings.
I mean, in a way, it kind of when you do leave, it's psychotic because you also see society as their own cult. So you feel very like, oh, I can't get trapped in this. You're able to hear bigger ideas. You're able to hear ideas that a lot of political people don't want to hear. You're able to hear things literally that Republicans and Democrats talk about, and you can hear it all because somebody isn't like one-sided. Like that, for me, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I will say my first couple years out, spite got me through, and it was spite of there is a cult that actively wants me to be unhappy. There is a cult out there that like there are specific people that I could name by their names, that if I lie in bed all day and cry and I'm sad, like if they knew that, they would be super stoked, and I hate them, so I'm not going to do that.
I have a lot of
like,
friends who have not, like, when they go to the suicidal side, they literally are like, nope. Like the one thing that's not, now they're so much stronger. I've actually 3 friends who have said this to me. They were like, I am not going to let Scientology win. They would love for me to kill myself. And that's gotten them out of it. So
yeah, like I'm doing much better now. I'm like, what, 5 years out or something like that. But my first couple of years, I was very like,
I would never have been up there in 5 years. Nope. I was still trying to somehow make it okay that my parents were going to be the executives and I was just going to be this crazy little rock star off to the side.
I mean, I blew. When
you said that at the beginning, I was like, oh, damn, you just blew. Blew.
I just straight up blew. So I knew, like,
I never blew an official organization. I blew 1,000 times at the Int Ranch Cadet Org. Trust me, Indians called the base and was like, you got a straggler.
Oh my
and
God.
I'd be like, no, I'm getting out of here. Where am I going? I have no fucking idea. I was just so angry. I wanted to leave.
I'm sure.
So when you do, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I think because of, like, it was very difficult. It was the hardest thing I've ever done to
that's
get
what I
on
mean.
the plane to leave. But then by doing that, I didn't have those connections anymore. I didn't like, there was no hope. Like I'm dead to my family. Like I just don't exist anymore. So there's no point in me trying to toe the line. Like what line? It's not like there's nothing to hide. I'm out of there. You can't hide that. And so like a lot of it is, it's also like so many people were so unkind to me for so much of my life. Why would I ever put that back out into the universe? Why would I ever turn around and treat somebody else the way that I was treated when I know how awful that made me feel and like how much trauma that gave me? So, you know, just kind of circling back on the comment of like that we're good-hearted and kind and everything else, I think a lot of it stems from like we know what it feels like to be on the other side when someone is not like that, and like we don't want to perpetuate the cycle. We don't want to be that.
Great answer.
You know what else would be a good thing, Aaron? Is if like I mean like maybe oh sorry. I'm just like in my head.
No, that's okay,
like
Laura.
Mike Rinder and like you know, even Mark Kelly and Claire, all these people would really talk about like what they were a part of in the abuse of the children. Not that they were, but I'm saying like, okay, so for example, I won't say his name, but Gary, you know who I'm talking about. Somebody messaged me that was trying to be like apologetic about spanking the fuck out of me and abusing me as a child at the Int Ranch. And he was one of the adults and the teachers, but he also was a younger adult that like later Gary helped me realize that he was put there even when he was a child and was put there specifically to separate him from his soon to be declared SP parents. And then he got involved as being like a tough guy, but he's old enough to like sort of be a tough guy, but he's too young to not, you know, so it was like to be at Gold, and David Miscavige himself was trying to keep him separate. But so this person ended up like really abusing a lot of the kids and in physical ways, like spanking them and like bare butt spankings, an 18, 19-year-old man, like bend over more. Like, so it's really hard to like hear this apology, right? So he sends me a message and an apology. Again, I'm not saying who it is because I also want this person. It's not that I'm not here to like help heal whoever's also done bad things and give them sort of like, you know, I forgive you. I want to do that, but as real and as thick as I am, I don't believe you get the forgiveness if you aren't openly talking about what you did to children and what you thought was an okay thing to do. And I'm not just talking about this person's, but that was amazing that he even messaged me and whatever. I'll deal that on my own time. But it's more like, Mike Rinder, how many times were you allowed to see your son at the Int Ranch? What, like, let's talk about the kids. Let's talk about how the psychological, the one thing that every human on this earth is really connected to, if they have it, is family. So they manipulated that with themselves and then their kids. So it really would be nice and healing for people who are maybe thinking about leaving or talking out and they have left, the kids specifically of any kind of Sea Org, Scientology, cadet org, recruitment, whatever, is if the elderly people who have left really focus on this and say what they did and what their responsibilities were and what they physically did and what they didn't do or who they held back from seeing at certain times, their parents or whoever. That's would make me feel a lot better about forgiving elderly men who were in this as adults. Some, yes, raised in it and then were adults. But if you're coming as an apology or anything to us, if you've done something sexually abusive, mentally, you physically spanked us, dragged us, fucking fucked us over, whatever you did, the only way we're going to be okay with you is if you say it all.
That's the one tell-all I have not heard anybody do. Any of the adults associated with the cadet orgs naming names.
Like, what the fuck?
Aaron,
Do it.
I just want to give an example, Aaron, that what Laura was just referencing, this individual. I for months. I mean, Laura told me about this at one time. I don't know how long ago.
I know who we're talking about. Just so you know.
And you know how long it took me to even figure out the right things to say to help that individual be able. I'm actually. I did not know you got an email. That just floors me. That's
me.
like,
you're talking to.
You actually got
on Facebook.
You actually got a communication, which is incredibly fabulous.
A week ago, and I've not responded to it.
And that's okay. Whatever. I'm just saying. This is a significant thing on both sides, but oh my gosh, as traumatic as I know this is, I'd always promised myself to figure out how to do something sometime to get you two together, to hash it out. And because you both are so deserving of your own side.
It's hard for me to hear that from about him.
I'm sorry.
I love you, Gary, but he hasn't done what you have done. You know,
I
this
understand.
is again at the beginning of this. I said, Gary, you have no idea how much pockets you filled on how much trauma and continuous things I was doing because even one or two things here weren't just told to me. Oh, this is what was happened. Oh, that's why I'm drinking so much. Oh my God. Or whatever it is. So you filled that up. The only reason I was even able to accept and ignore the message without fucking completely losing my mind is because I knew this person had spoken to you.
Major milestone for that individual, just so you know, Laura. It just I'm just telling you that
with
passion. Back
to the point is literally like it's fine if it takes me a week or a year to not respond.
Your choice.
That's part of the process.
Yep.
So, but that does make me feel a lot stronger. So I can actually have a more intelligent, emotional conversation with anybody in the world. That is now lifted a lot off of my shoulders. It's also lifted me a lot about how bad I felt about him. Now I feel Laura, a little bit better about him, but
that's incredible.
So this is Laura. The way that we can heal this. But you, the older people watching, and even the young cadets that are watching that are like, she's absolutely right. You got to just say something. Even if you, again, send me a letter, just say something, sign with your initials, whatever it is, anything you can do at this moment, at your pace, at your flow, please send it. Let us know. Let us know the details. Let Aaron know, let Gary, whatever. Let somebody know that's in the SPTV community just so it's out there. It's for the record.
Would you believe me, Laura, if as a middleman in this, that there's good reason to believe there's goodness on that side?
100%.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Gary, I know your heart, Gary.
I'm just speaking on behalf.
No, 100%.
I mean, okay. I think the overall point here is more just apology without accountability is only halfway there. You know,
and
it's
somebody
really
said something the other day. They said, oh fuck, what was it? Action. There was something. My intention is that I'm sorry. But there's something about. There's an intention and then really doing something that shows this was so fucked up. This isn't, so do the, I forget what it said, but I'll
including intention as part of the communication is only a halfway effort.
So, yeah, exactly.
So it's no, I'm not here to be your therapist for the shit you feel bad that I'm not forgiving you for. Yeah. You have to make me see and feel that you have completely changed this.
Impact. That's the word. Impact. Is your intention.
There you go, baby. Okay.
Whew, lots going
Oh,
on.
man.
No, Jesus Christ, no, nothing to apologize.
Monday
for.
night chaos hour.
No, this is a good one. This is a
SPTV.
great. This has been a great SPTV episode. All right, let's see. Jeff Hawkins says, Laura, Phil, and Diane worked for me on the very successful Dianetics campaign in the 1980s. They were good friends. Would love to talk with you about your folks.
Please.
There you
Jeff
go.
can fill in a lot more than I could because he was up there working with them.
So I wasn't even born. Sorry, I'm reading. I'm like, oh, 19. I wasn't even born.
Well, that's
This
even
is
the
pre-
part of the jewel
This is
that
what
Jeff
I want.
has.
This is
That's
what I
right.
want. I want any, like, if I could reverse my camera, I have this huge ballet picture of my mother when she was, I don't know, my age, maybe. I mean, not now, but when I got it. So she was like 23 or 24 before she joined Scientology. And she's this epic, amazing. And I'm like, I want to know anybody's input on Diane or the Anderson family. I also have an uncle who passed away. Maybe one of you guys know him. Maybe you know him, B. He was the senior has at the he was senior has int, Paul Anderson.
I was never at ILO. I was never up there.
Okay.
And I think he may have
Paul
passed
Anderson
before my
just passed
time.
away recently. I think like within the last 5 years.
Okay.
From cancer, which could have, anyways. But yeah, and
Yeah.
he's my dad's brother. So
You need to have a phone call with good old Jefferson, Laura. I
Yeah.
think that would
yeah.
that'd be a
That
good-
would
good phone
be
call.
crazy. Yes, Jeffrey. I would definitely like to know where my parents' minds were in these years.
To be continued on that one. Pat Shore, this is for Laura and B. 1, when did you each leave? And 2, this is for B. How'd you find out about the Aftermath Foundation? And 3, damn it, I forgot what was in my head.
I've been there.
God, we're all so familiar in so many ways. That's amazing.
Right. So I left in October of 2018, like right before, about a week before Halloween of 2018. And I found out about the Aftermath Foundation through Chris Shelton, who I have known Chris Shelton since I was like a teenager. I've known him for years. He was already in the Sea Org when I went and joined staff at Valley Org, and he would like get sent out on like projects and stuff to the org when I was the has there. So I knew he was declared through a lot of shenanigans. I found out he was going to get declared before almost anybody else knew he was going to get declared. So when I left and I ended up in Minneapolis, I was like literally the only person I know who might be in Minneapolis is Chris Shelton. And I reached out to him on Reddit and he hooked me up with the Aftermath.
Awesome.
And me, I also want to say your little cute dog on your, they had also a husky, Aaron, on the photo. But anyways, and it was cute because Foxy just came up and I was like, oh yeah, see?
Oh.
Isn't that cute? Foxy lady, the ultimate SP. Go away, I'm talking. We're in an auditing session right now. I got declared and I found that out because my brother was having like a panic attack almost and called me, and he was in Texas at the time, and he was told to have a special lunch at the org and he needed to be there no matter what. So he went to go meet this guy that was helping him at the time, I think like be sober or whatever. Anyways. And he sat down and I guess pulled out the golden
rod.
The goldenrod, bright orange SP color. And he read it and then called. He was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I won't. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I haven't really been talking to her, whatever. So then he called me and he was like, I just saw, they just showed me you're suppressed. And he was, and then at the time I was kind of like, okay, Jarrett, it's ridiculous. Like I was kind of trying to calm him down. Like I was like, it's fine. It's like, wow, good. Can't, what did it say? I was like just interested. What did it say? And it was like, can't hold a job, promiscuous, like all these things. I was like, yeah, pretty much. You started all that, bitches. Anyways,
Laura's working, earning money, and getting laid, right?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I spent it all on fucking alcohol trying to get over your fucking psychotic trauma from my life. Anywho, where was I going, Aaron? You can keep me focused.
I don't know.
What year was it?
Here. So I got declared. I found that out from my brother. That phone call was like 5 or 6 years ago. I was definitely trying to live my own life, but still have this weird connection with my weird, cool Scientology Sea Org parents. And that didn't work, and ended up being a really bad argument with my dad being forced to stand outside my art studio for days and days on end, even when I was on tour and stuff. And then my neighbors would be like, yeah, your dad's just been sitting out here. Basically, he was told, like, you are not allowed to come back to the organization until she comes back into the org, to the ethics officer at CEC, because now I'm a celebrity, and to get a proper ethics handling. And I was like, I'm not a Scientologist. It was like this whole thing. It was a whole thing. And also, I just want to say one thing, Aaron, before I fucking get so sidetracked. There was a film that I was telling Aaron about. There was a film called Over the Rainbow that I literally spent 6 years giving my life, and went back to the Int Ranch, and we filmed all this stuff. And this producer of this film ended up, for some reason, putting out a film that had nothing to do with any of the kids or anything of the kids at the Int Ranch at all. And it was just like weird, confusing chunks of, oh, and then this and the, I don't even understand it to this day. And I haven't watched it again. Maybe I will, I don't know, in a therapy session. But the point was that this was supposed to be about this is the reason I did go on the Aftermath at the time, which I'm glad I didn't for my own reasons. But there were so many reasons. I was supposed to be the star of this film, and it was about to explain everything that happened at the end. We went back and filmed the Int Ranch. That was so insane for me to be back there. Anywho, I don't know what happened. All I know is when I was trying to get the promised original footage that was said, hey, at the end of this, you can have whatever footage you need for whatever documentary you want to put out for your life story. So that completely, none of that happened. I've been spending 6 years trying to put out my story, and every single platform I go on, it gets taken off, or this is too much, or even the Aftermath, they would cut out a bunch of really intense shit of even people that are on there, that just with the stories they were allowed to put out. But there's so much stuff that is not, why can't somebody just tell their story? It's so insane to me. So yeah.
Didn't you ask the producers of that thing, correct me if I'm wrong, whether they had taken any money from Scientology to scrap the children footage? And he wouldn't answer the question?
I said, hey, Jeff, I asked him for the, and then I said, so Jeff, what's happening? Like, what happened? Like, why, I just was like, what happened with the film? Because finally I had done a little bit of therapy at this time. And I was kind of like, my friend was like, no, I think he kind of got they said something in the film world where they basically have a private closed deal or something. Anyway, so I was like, no. So I called Jeff to be like, what happened? And his response when I was asking him for the footage, I was like, no, I need the last phone call from my dad, the whole 2-hour phone call that I had. I was like, I need that phone call. I said some other thing. I was like, I need all the ranch footage. You promised me that I could have this so that I could give therapy to other people who can't go back to the ranch. They need that. They need to know, like, physically, this was just the ranch, and that there's so much therapy to be had by just watching somebody who's been back there and who has left and has their own mind now. So none of that was given to me. What do you mean? And right when I said, what happened, Jeff? Like, did Scientology did the lawyers come after you or something? He literally said, I can't talk to you about this. I have to call my lawyer.
Wow.
And I was like, are you kidding me?
The lawyer
I was like, you're
up
kidding me
answered.
right now.
Yeah, the lawyer.
Because they
up answered.
recorded the conversation of your dad disconnecting from you, right?
Yeah, we were recording for the documentary that was supposed to be about the kids. So I was in the loft where I lived at the time, and I was with my friend. I'm like, oh, Jeff's gonna come over and film some stuff because there's a lot. There's always stuff that he's always like, okay, I got to get 9 hours more. Like, he has so much footage of me just talking about everything, crying my eyes out. I actually got very close to this person, so it felt very upsetting. When I was in shock when I first originally saw the film for him to show me. I was like, but it was so long and slow and I didn't understand it. So that by the time I got to the end, I was kind of like, oh, okay, I don't really get it, but cool. Okay. I can't wait to get that footage from you. Cause I can't wait to do my own shit. Cause this is not anything like I thought I agreed to. That was how I left it. So then a year or two later, when I was finally getting the stuff together to do this, that's what he said. As I
Well,
I
Laura,
have-
just so you know, shit on YouTube does not fall on the editing room floor.
oh no, I know, and I also know, and I like that, Gary. I also know that like there are certain rules that YouTube follows by. Also, with Aaron being my little dummy, but also being like, okay, what is he saying? He's waiting 20 minutes before he starts to talk about the deep shit. So, like, good. If that's how we have to do it, then that's how we have to do it.
I just think that one of the most amazing things about, I guess I'll just keep calling it the SPTV phenomena, is that no longer do any of us need to rely on other people to edit and curate and pick and choose which stories get to be told. That's out the window.
Out the window.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Isn't that just fabulous, Dave? Don't you just loving it?
Suck it, Dave. How about
Suck
that?
Suck it.
Where every day is a good day for Dave to suck it. How about that? Okay. Ken wants to know, is Jackson a Blue Oyster Cult fan?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, my God.
Soft White Underbelly was their early name.
BOC.
And the name they used for secret club shows in the 70s and the 80s. That's incredible.
That's a man who knows his music.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah. BOC.
Let's see. Destiny Salazar. The SPTV family is here to support all the exes who are ready to share their stories and those that aren't. Much love to all on the panel tonight. Thank you for being here. That's very nice.
You're welcome.
Very nice. Denver Stevo, inviting all four of you and everyone in the chat to join Clearwater Chad and the SPTV Never Ends for the Chatathon to end all Chatathons. Up all night for the love of Mike at Chad's, Maryland's, and Stevo's places. Well, that's very nice. Thank you.
Is that going on now?
No, I think it's going to go on when we're done in about 10 or so minutes.
Oh, okay. I was
Nice.
trying to remember a date like the 28th or something like that. But okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Today's the 26th, but we'll see. Okay. JK in Toronto says, one of the saddest things about this cult is that it's filled with people that want to do good work and really are good people that are being taken advantage of.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
very
There's
true.
there's so many people I could name that I'm just like waiting on the edge of my seat for what, like, please come out, please get out, because I want to be friends with you again. Like, there are so many people who are just like stuck in these horrible circumstances. There's definitely people who I'm like, you can not come out, you can stay away from me, but but there's a lot of people who are really lovely people who are just like so brainwashed.
Yeah. I mean, the only person I've ever named is Ben Monahan. If I see that guy on the street, I don't care how many years have transpired. I'm going to knock that guy out the moment I see him. I don't care if he's in Scientology or out of Scientology. Ben Monahan is I guess that's all I'll say.
Get it on tape. There's so many people who would be like, oh, amazing. I get to finally see this guy get his.
Oh, yeah. And while we're talking about legal shit, any underage girls who were sexually harassed or assaulted by Ben Monahan while they were on the EPF and he was their EPF IC, hit me up at growingupinscientology@gmail.com because that guy is a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
And if you have any underage anything in Scientology, send it to Aaron.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
He'll do his own investigation.
Okay.
Here's a name. Here's a thing. You didn't get this from anybody.
I've been avoiding this question. It seems a little too hard hitting for this kind of chat. So let's just briefly address it if we can, though, because I just feel bad ignoring it. What is the hardest thing you all had to overcome when you left Scientology after being controlled for so long? I can't even imagine the mental anguish. Gosh, you are all so amazing.
I can.
Go ahead.
I'll throw an answer out because I just recently overcame another one. As some of you may know, and I know Laura knows, you don't, and Aaron definitely does, but being a Sea Org member, I was able to fulfill a lifelong goal of being a firefighter. I did it as a volunteer, but nonetheless, I did it as a firefighter. From that grew a lot of friendships. And intermingling with them as an INT-based staff member out there in Gilman Hot Springs, there was this underlying story that we were weird. We were a porn-making company. That place is just wacky tobacco, and none of that represented me. And I felt that I could never socially be accepted because anything that I would say would be overridden by their own beliefs of what I was part of. So for years, I kind of suffered in silence. These videos here, the aftermath, brought my firefighter buds out of the woodwork. Two significant stories. One, a firefighter that I grew up with, and any firefighters out there that know, there's a brotherhood that exists, very similar to our Sea Org brotherhood and sisterhood. But I knew him and his wife, and we started off as very young volunteers back in the 80s. Anyways, during one of my events of escaping the base, literally hopping the fence, I ran completely, literally across town, trying to get make contact with my wife, but trying to seek help. And I was running to one of my firefighters' house. As the sun was coming up, in the distance I see a column of smoke. My heart was a little broken because I felt that he would be on that fire and he would not be home. I knew his wife enough that I felt comfortable to continue on to knock on the door. 7 o'clock in the morning that night that I spent all night running across town, I knock on the door and she's freaked out, scared, of course, and I kind of took that into account. But she was just a housewife at home, and I'm telling her, it's me, Gary, it's me, Moorhead, it's okay. And she just wouldn't open, and I wasn't going to persist. Anyways, long story short on that, the Aftermath series comes out. I get this random message. I am sorry for not opening that door. That's all I got. Can you believe that?
That's wild.
And then that was his wife.
God.
Yeah, right? That just hit. Anyways, my life would have been completely different for that fine moment. But her husband, he and I just recently reconnected. This guy meant the world to me. Anyways, I just cast it off thinking that I did something to upset our relationship. And it was through another firefighter. He was like, dude, Moorhead wants to talk to you. And he's like, oh my God, Moorhead. And, dude, we were like two brothers in love again. We talked for hours. And, anyways, he told me about that day that he felt bad. He wished I kicked the door in to his home. Anyways, that was his statement to me, that he wished that I kicked his fucking door into his own home. Anyways, this is just
what a solid guy.
Well, that was the brotherhood. That's who we were. It just years later. I mean, this is 25 years later. Holy shit, right? Well worth the wait to me.
Absolutely.
To finally hear that come out of this gentleman's mouth. Anyways, So, what is the hardest thing you all had to overcome? It's just the lack of the ability to be friends with people that you were friends with. And because of Scientology, you hide in the shadows. I don't know why I just hid in the shadows. There was firefighters networking with each other. It's like, hey, dude, I saw Moorhead on this video. Check it out. Here's the link. Oh my God, there's Moorhead. Hey, ring, ring, ring. Hey, Moorhead. This is like a little bit of a little internal wildfire that got set off. And I'm like, I don't know what to say to that. It just was very humbling. So, I didn't mean to divert you all off your own pending stories to be told with this. But that was a moment for me.
That's a great story.
That's incredible.
Years later.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't follow that. I was going to say grocery shopping.
Well, see, that's
totally different. Way other end of the spectrum there. Like, there's so much food. How do you choose?
And in the meantime, I had a wicked ass time in the fire service. There's firefighters that are known to be white clouds and black clouds. Firefighters you go hang out with, you had an operator. I was an engineer. My crew would ride with me. We got the shit. We got calls. We got incidents. There was other guys that for some reason never saw a call. So I got to stick my fingers in the goo and put the wet stuff on the red stuff. And I had a grand old time for 20 solid years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump on to the next one here. Do all of you think if these lawsuits actually go through and the high officials get arrested, do you think the rest of the members will run? Scientology's been losing members steadily and consistently for over 30 years now. So I think these things simply accelerate. I do think these things accelerate the process. I don't necessarily know that there's some huge inflection point. I think Miscavige keeps creating his own new inflection points whenever he does these new fucking training evolutions and cancels all the certificates of everyone that came previously and declares that, like, I think we are going to see a continuation of the process that's already been happening for 30 years. I don't think the whole house of cards falls down once the first lawsuit, goes our way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I also wouldn't imagine like somebody like my mother who's so brainwashed or something, like running. I don't see them running. They definitely are going to have a lot of deprogramming to do on their own because they're not going to listen to anybody else.
And half of them will probably be like, Scientology's still great, but Miscavige screwed it all up and we have to build it from scratch and we'll create an offshoot Church of Scientology and all that kind of shit. I mean, there's already a lot of former Scientologists who are still, believe in Scientology. I think you'll see more of that, actually. If there was a sudden collapse, I think you would see a lot of independent Scientology, actually.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think there's probably people who are in like how Aaron and I were in, where like you're in but like some of it, some of it's bullshit. Like some of like it doesn't totally make sense. We're just not going to think about it too hard because then you lose your family. There's people like that'll come running out. But they're the people who are like really, really the true believers who really like straight up are like, yeah, this is it. This is the thing. They're going to be in whether Miscavige is there or not.
Yeah. All right. Selena Michelle says, love my SPTV. Smash that like button. We got 2,200 people watching live right now. Please do us a favor, guys, and hit that like button. It does actually help, believe it or not. Okay. Busy Ditch AZ. How can locals near the Delphian school help if kids want to blow? Why do so many former Scientologists live around that school? It's creepy up on that hill.
Unfortunately, it's a very shitty town out there, I gotta say. It really is. It's kind of redefines white trash. So it's not necessarily a appealing environment.
But also I don't think people are blowing because it's not appealing. I think they're wanting to blow because they don't like L. Ron Hubbard technology being forced into their brain.
And my answer would be contact the authorities. Do not get involved in issues between kids and their parents on your own. Contact the authorities and just deal with it properly. Did I say authorities? Because honestly, I'm not advocating for anyone to try to remove children from the whoever is genuinely has custody of them. Also, the Delphian School is not the Sea Organization. The Delphian School is not a Church of Scientology. It has its own problems, but let's not confuse the Delphi School with the Int Ranch or something like that. They're not even
right. Very different.
The Delphian School is a very expensive private school for rich Scientology kids. That's a different situation.
Yeah. In case there was any listeners out there in Sheridan, Oregon, I really did not mean to take a big old poop on your town. I'm just... I apologize.
He's like, it's not my fault your town sucks. Get your shit together.
Just
get it together, Sheridan. Okay. Joni Cummings says, I'm glad to see so many beautiful people speaking out about Scientology. I hope the Jane Does get justice in the lawsuit. Sending love to all of you. That's actually a completely different lawsuit. That's totally different than the one we've even spoken about tonight.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. Lonesome Squirrel, a.k.a. CO Bilf. COB is from Philly. The Philly Spring Training Facility is in Clearwater. Is the Philly Fanatic a Markabian? Quite possibly.
That would explain some things.
Dude,
Gritty.
That guy totally gets it, man. I love that.
Amber Vanass. I was in the 90s when I was in the cadet org. I was with Brendan Ty, Noel Doe, Zach, Anna Dixon. What is this?
Noel. It's Noel Doe. It's Noel's, not Noel. If he was talking about, wasn't there a Noel something?
I don't know about, but I do know Brendan Ty. And Brendan Ty is the brother of Natalie Moniz, I think her last name is, who was my guardian at the flag land race when I got there from the Int Ranch. And Brendan Ty is out of the Sea Org now and declared and everything, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's Noel, Zach, Anna, and Dixon.
Anna Dixon is a person. That name sounds familiar, but that's a pack ranch cadet, I think.
Got it.
But cool, go. Amber. Little
Diana
90s
B-
baby.
Diana B says the content of Jackson at Burning Man is a must. Alicia Medley says, I'm in love with Laura. Her energy is infectious. I cannot imagine Nora and Laura together. Hashtag Team Mike. Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Dave Bowen says, dude, Laura's music is seriously good.
Yeah. I love that. I write it all. And honestly, a lot of my music, I don't think, other than maybe the last 2 recent music videos I posted, everything else literally is all about Scientology. It was messages to my mother. It was, now that I'm in this world, I'm learning and loving. It was just like therapy to myself that I was able to express to other people.
Yeah, baby.
Z McCarthy, Aaron, please have an Aftermath Foundation fundraiser stream with you, Mark, Nora, and Laura. The humor and loving annoyance from interruptions would be amazingly entertaining.
Yeah. Hey, we ain't professionals here, all right?
That is great. Mark Headley, the Cracker Licker himself, getting it done tonight, guys. Great show.
Thanks, bud.
Lori Plays said, retired law enforcement officer. So I know what you're talking about, Jackson.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Man.
And looks like this is actually the last one that we have here. Selena Michelle. Laura, can you tell us about your animals?
Is that
Fox
an Alaskan
Lady.
Malamute?
I've got Foxy Lady. I've got a doggy and 2 cats. Baby and Bubs, I rescued. She's literally just, look, Foxy, come here.
Is that an Alaskan Malamute or a Siberian
Foxy,
Husky?
come here. The whole internet wants to say hi to you. Come up. She's like,
What breed is Foxy?
I just got her freaking breed results from Embark, who I'm a fan of the Asher House on Instagram. Wow, totally dropping dumb names, but I love it. And I saw him go, oh, do you want to find the breed of your animal? Blah, blah, blah. Here's 40% off. So then I did it. And then I just found out the results today. Anyways, but what I do want to say is that I rescued her 2 years ago when I was bringing my tour van to the mechanic, and she was tied up like with 5 leash like knots that she had already chewed through, and the guy was stressed and was trying to like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with my sister, she's schizophrenic, and it was like a whole thing, and she was completely untaken care of, and now she's this beautiful angel. And this one, Bubs, hi Bubbies, hi. That's Bubbies. That's Bubs, and she has a sister named Baby, who's an orange tabby. They're actual sisters that I adopted from my musician friends at the time, who were drumming and playing bass and guitar with me. They were like, oh, we just stayed up all night rescuing these cats from the dumpster downtown with all the... They don't sound like this. They have all these... So when I went to pick up Bubs, I was like, oh my God, I should have a cat. You know, I should take responsibility for something other than myself.
And that was said in your head, right?
Literally. I heard my mom going, stop being so selfish and take care of something else. I adopted them both. So Baby and Bubs, those are their names. And I actually had them longer than Foxy. I've had them for 2.5 years and Foxy for a year. And
So what was your results for Foxy?
Foxy is, OMG, let me just read them. Sorry, Aaron, this is so inappropriate. This is not channel.
For some reason, Laura, your sound has gotten so loud.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe
I have better TR4 than you.
Ooh,
Oh my God.
Wow. She said it.
Okay, skip results. Here we go. So her breed is 70% Siberian Husky.
Okay.
19% Australian cattle dog, and 10% German Shepherd.
Wow, it must have one hell of a party going on there.
Yeah, I just hear energy. So much energy.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Laura. That's what a beautiful.
I've trained her. She is literally I got her certified. She is a service dog now for my anxiety and PTSD from Scientology's trauma.
Good job.
So
Get her a little like SP patch for her vest.
Yes, Aaron will send me that once he makes it in his SP store.
Nice.
SP therapy dog. Actually, you could
Literally
officially
Aaron,
put that on there. SP therapy.
There are
dog.
I'm sure the graded daughters would love that as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
All right. So reminder, everyone can subscribe to Laura on YouTube. Someone was asking where to find her music. You can find it at her YouTube channel, Laura
on there.
FM.
And I'm going to go live tomorrow night at 7 p.m. LA time. clearly I'm from LA. It's not Standard Pacific. LA time. LA time, 7 p.m. And I will start from the beginning. The first episode is called The Beginning. So I'm gonna just start from the beginning of my childhood and shit at the ranch and then go from there. Just so it's on the record, and hopefully other kids and cadets will come out from this.
What's the second episode going to be called?
Go fuck yourself.
All right.
The episode, I don't know. I'll base it off of the first one. That's what I'm going to do each time. I'm just going to base it off. I'm still laughing at Aaron's reaction to my. But yeah, I'm going to base it off of the next one. So just follow tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
Awesome. And you can subscribe to Jackson at Gary Jackson Moorhead or at Gary Jackson Moorhead. And you can subscribe to B on YouTube at Mood Candy or at Mood Candy. That's it. This has been fun. Hell of a
give
Monday
Laura.
Give your horns. Who's got the rocker horns?
We'll see you next time from the playa.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone for watching. Talk to you guys soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe.